Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Howard who loved writing stories.
Little Howard dreamed of being a writer, and so he sat and wrote every night. But everything he wrote was fucking shite, yeah. Wubba-dubba-doo, wubba-dubba-doo. Worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world. He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer. Hello, and welcome to the worst writer in the world with me, the best writer in the world. It's a bit confusing, isn't it? Anyway, we'll be back next week with a brand new story, The Mystery of the Golden Bus. So what are we doing right now? It's a one-off special called Midnight Smoke. Although some of you may have already heard it under the pseudonym The Men in the Shed. But if you've not heard it, have a listen. If you have heard it, have another listen.
It's good.
It is gad.
Okay, it's called Midnight Smoke, or Dismemberment, a Tragedy in 3 Parts.
The only thing I noticed about this when I dragged it out of the pile was it starts with a kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing kind of thing, because we had to do research when we were at school. We had to do research, and I only hated all that shit and didn't see the point of any of it, and it's quite apparent that I haven't really done any, and I've knocked it out like the day before.
Okay, so research. This is my first piece of work. Ever. Well, I have never worked before, so this has been quite an experience for me.
Probably I think you'll soon learn that it definitely is after you read it.
This is my first piece of work, and at this stage, I am uncertain as to what I am going to do my survival on. That's a weird sentence.
Okay, so survival was obviously the topic. You've got to do something on survival.
Okay. I have decided that I want to write a story, and my choices are wide. That's true. That's true.
It is,
especially if the topic is survival. Yeah. You'd say, well, as long as everyone doesn't die. Yeah. In fact, even if they do die, it's still about survival, isn't it, or lack of. I
am just filling space here. It's quite obvious that I'm just trying to fill up a few lines with some stuff.
My choices are wide, and they are long, and they are deep.
Does it then go? I'm sure it then goes on to say that there are lots of different types of survival. These are a few of them, or something.
Yes, kind of. Yeah. It's some of my favourites. Some of my favourite types of survival. This gets worse. Some of my favourites, though, are the survival of the recession. All right. No,
I knew. I was very interested in that as a child.
Yeah. I can't read this next bit. Starving Indians and Ethiopians. That's one of my favourites. I love that. I think it's brilliant when I turn on the TV and some bloke in Africa's starving to death.
I love the way they survive the starving.
Yeah. So some of my Okay, let's start again. I have decided that I want to write a story, and my choices are wide. Some of my favourites, though, are the survival of the recession, starving Indians and Ethiopians. Arctic survival. What? Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Animal survival. Now, you could have spread that out, couldn't you? You could have gone tortoise survival.
Dog survival.
Cat survival. Pig survival.
Monkey
chicken
survival.
And survival of blind and deaf people. Yeah, that's your last one. Survival of blind and deaf people who find it difficult to survive because they can't see people trying to shoot them.
This is obviously written after I've written the story.
Yeah.
That's why Arctic survival is in there, because it's definitely set in the Arctic or something.
Okay, so that's one of your favourites, but you haven't decided which one yet. Now to write a short story. Not too many characters are wanted.
This is me explaining what a short story is.
Okay,
there should be this many words.
To write a short story, not too many characters are wanted, so I think that starving millions is out.
Yeah, because you'd have to describe.
You have to describe millions of people. You don't want millions of characters.
I haven't got
what
the time
kind of story
to give
has
them
millions of characters, and there's no way round that.
I've got no time to give them all names, have I? That's going to take ages.
And all of them equal footing and description in the story. It's not like you could just choose one who was representative and then just mention.
I can do that now. It was a hot, starving day in Ethiopia. Fred, Bill, Peter, John, James, Sarah, Kennedy,
the Ethiopians.
Josephine.
You might want to put the Ethiopian after each of those names. Otherwise they sound quite English.
They,
John the Ethiopian, Steve the Ethiopian. All right, now so I think Starving Millions is out, and then you've added a picture.
What, of starving millions?
Yes.
These people
You
are
have-
starving.
Basically, to show you've done research, you've cut a picture out of the newspaper
Yeah.
of something that you've decided not to do, right? So this is a picture of a Delhi slum. More than 250 million Indians live on the edge of starvation. The danger is that reforms may take too long for many people, is the
Yeah,
caption.
That's one of my favourites.
Yeah, you love that. All right, but there's 250 million Indians and you haven't got time to name all of them.
No.
Here we go. Also, I have not actually experienced such things as blindness or being deaf.
No, I haven't. That's true.
Although it does suggest that being one of the starving millions in Ethiopia, you have
I've done that,
experienced that, right?
I've definitely been on an Arctic survival mission as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Been to the Arctic and survived, but I wasn't deaf at the time.
No.
So I can't do deafness. I have not actually experienced such things as blindness or being deaf, and so I think that would really be too difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
So imagining being in the Arctic is easier than closing your eyes and imagining that you can't open them again, for example.
Well, because I've got such a vivid imagination, having seen all the stuff, it would be really difficult for me, a person that's so good at describing things,
Yeah.
to pretend that they can't see things.
All right.
How can I do that?
All right, there's another picture cut out of a newspaper here.
Good. Probably the same newspaper, same day.
Can you guess what it is?
Is it Athol Fugard?
No, I mean like what it is.
okay.
What it's representing. Think about it. You said that.
Is it a blind
You said
person?
that starvation was out, and then you showed starving millions, and now you've just said that blind and deaf people are out. And what are you showing?
It's a seeing eye dog for the blind.
No, it's a blind fella.
It's an actual blind.
Or
fella.
at least we don't know that for definite, but it is a bloke wearing sunglasses.
This is a man in sunglasses.
a man in
It's just
sunglasses.
Bob Dylan, basically, isn't
No,
it?
I think you've probably read the article and
There's no
Laurie
caption underneath.
Yeah, Laurie Conway, who has been out of work since 1989 despite having a degree in social psychology. There's a lot of discrimination, quotation, but you've cut out anything that mentions him being blind.
Yeah.
So we've just got to assume that.
He could be he could be a deaf man in sunglasses.
He could be a
right?
deaf man in the sun. Now, my all-time favourite has to be Arctic survival. It's weird that you're talking about types of survival like they're bands, isn't it?
Are they not?
Okay, so now my all-time favourite has to be Arctic survival. Though I do like the idea of survival of the fittest.
Yeah, what is
And,
that?
and perhaps I could somehow intertwine the two. Animal survival is out.
Because I'm not been an animal.
Because I'm not an animal.
I've never been a dog,
Yeah.
so I don't know what it's like to survive as a dog.
No, it's even better than that.
Really?
Animal survival is out because I have no intention of writing Watership Down 2. This is about as far as my research goes.
Yeah, good one. That's not research, is
yeah,
it?
I reckon your teacher saw straight through this. This is the most obvious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it really is painful, isn't it? This,
It's not
this guy has
research.
sat down and written this and cut two pictures out of a newspaper that are vaguely associated with some things he didn't do.
I have got to do something on survival. Here are 5 things I think you can survive. I'm
Yeah.
going to pick one of them. Here are some photographs.
Yeah.
I am picking this.
I guess they just go, yeah, well, at least he did it. There's a
Yeah,
tick.
that is how that's what school's about, though.
That's how we got through school, isn't it?
If you do it, then you get a tick.
Yeah,
You don't have
and
to
you get
care.
a B or a C.
It's not about thinking about things or actually thinking for yourself or learning anything. It's just getting through and getting that tick.
This is about as far as my research goes, other than to say that I read a Lewis Carroll poem for extra inspiration and to try and find a title. I succeeded and have even put an excerpt, which has relevance, at the end. Okay, when you say, now I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to make a little prediction now.
Yeah.
That the Lewis Carroll poem is Hunting of the Snark.
Yeah.
And when you say read it, you mean listened to the musical, which uses stanzas from the poem, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Did I not write that? Well, I mean, it's written by Mike Batt, isn't it? Of course, who did the song Bright Eyes for Watership Down,
Yep.
coincidentally, and therefore probably is not at all a quote from Lewis Carroll whatsoever, and is actually just some lyrics that Mike Batt wrote.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, because as I say, I haven't read anything in this now.
All right, so here we go. Now starts the story. White, almost pure, in fact, but not quite. Pinpricks of black and red can be seen through the mists of white snow. 2 figures, both dressed in large duffel coats and padded trousers I've got padded trousers on. Why? Just in case. 2 figures, both dressed in large duffel coats and padded trousers to shield the wearer from the intense cold. Not thermals, but padded trousers. That's it.
They
Research.
weren't called thermals
Research.
then. They were called
you
padded
just didn't know.
trousers back in the 60s.
You
That's
didn't
what we
know.
called them then.
Ohio Grant was an American.
What? Okay, yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, because Ohio, from Ohio, probably. He was at this moment in time not.
I am an American. My name is Ohio.
Yeah. He was at this moment in time not in the best of moods.
Oh, why not?
He hated wind.
Oh.
This, he had decided, was the worst of the elements, and his hate was derived from the fact that back in America, it used to blow. Oh no, sorry, there's not. It looked like a full stop. It honestly looked like a full stop. It's from the other side of the page. This is derived from the fact that back in America, it used to blow his perfectly styled hair out of position.
Oh, right.
So he's a narcissist.
I thought he was going to say that back in America they didn't have wind.
He would
Does
spend.
that mean he's a narcissist, or just that, like, you know, he likes his hair? He's not, but he's not going like he's got annoyed because it used to blow his nose off or anything. That would be real.
And that's what a narcissist would do. Oh, my nose came off.
I like my nose.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, where's my fucking nose gone? I look like a noseless person now.
Okay, blah, 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 out of position. He would spend, at the very least, 1 hour a morning fashioning his hair into a bloody masterpiece.
Oh, really? He is
Yeah.
he is a narcissist then.
Yeah,
He's a hair-cissist.
exclamation mark. Yet, as soon as he would leave the house, it would move, change, be destroyed, like knifing the Mona Lisa.
Ah, that's because that's a masterpiece too, right?
Yeah, and knifing it is
He's like
the
blowing.
obvious thing to do to a painting. I knifed a painting. What? Did you cut it? No, I knifed it. Okay. He had wanted... It's a weird word, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. He had wanted to get away from it.
So he went to the windiest place he could
No, hang
find.
on. He wanted to get away from it. I suppose we're still talking about the Mona Lisa,
Oh,
right?
his hair, right? He had to get away from his hair.
Yeah, all right.
So he shaved it off.
To a place where he need not bother about his appearance anymore, and the perfect opportunity had arisen. He was a scientist, an expert in his field, and an Arctic investigation had been arranged, and he had been the first to put his name down. There's a lot of ands in that sentence.
Yeah.
Only it had not been the escape he had hoped for. The wind was waiting there to taunt him and tease him, and though he now had no care what his hair did,
Yeah.
the wind caused annoyance in other ways.
Okay, so what is he's an ex-narcissist.
Yeah,
He's probably
who
shaved.
now
He's probably
just-
shaved it all off.
Who now hates wind for other reasons, which we're about to
I don't
hear.
think he was a narcissist. I think the thing was he felt he had to do his hair like that because of society's expectations of him, and he's like, I'm sick of having to do my hair for an hour every
I'm
fucking
going to go
day.
and hide in the Arctic.
Yeah, where no one cares what my hair looks like. But he's gone there, and the thing that used to piss him off
Pisses him off for other reasons.
For other reasons.
Namely, it would freeze him, blow snow onto his only half-protected face.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why he only protects half his face. Do you think he's only got like half a handkerchief or something?
Got half a head.
Doesn't make any sense. And my brain is like struggling to understand that. It's going, no, what does that mean? Okay, and sting him. Hang on, the wind. That's weird, isn't it?
He's got, yeah.
That's not wind, Mister. That's not
paragraph
wind,
falling out
Ohio.
somewhere.
That's a wasp.
Oh, yeah, but both begin with W, though, don't they?
Yeah, they're
all those
four
wasps
letters.
that used to go and knife in the Mona Lisa in America.
Okay, it would practically blow him over on occasions, and it would whistle. Ohio hated whistling.
Oh, God, he's got a lot of hates, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's full of hate. Perhaps it was because he couldn't whistle himself.
Whistle himself. I'm going to whistle myself.
No, nothing's coming out. He wasn't sure, but he could not abide it, especially bad whistling. It's underlined bad, that's why I put such heavy emphasis on. Now, he longed to return to America, where he would either
Grow his hair back.
have his hair shaved off or buy a hat.
Oh, so he could have just done that?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that
But
was an
it's-
option before.
It's taken a trip to the Arctic to work that out.
He was like, why didn't I just buy a hat?
Yeah.
What did I think going to the Arctic was a good idea? Because my hair flopped around. Fuck this, I'm going to the Arctic.
Fucking wind.
What a-
Goddamn wind. Always blowing my carefully styled hair slightly out of position. I'm going to the Arctic.
Yeah, good plan, do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Peabody was the other character.
He sounds... yeah, he's the other character.
He sounds English,
He
doesn't
sounds very English.
He was, however, from Great Britain, England.
Yeah.
From Great Britain in England, London.
Yeah, Great Britain's in England,
Oh, no,
right?
you've just put it backwards. From Great Britain, England, London,
Yeah,
Oxford University,
that's what-
ex-student.
That's for the benefit of Ohio, probably. They like to do anything backwards, don't they?
Do they?
I don't know. I've never been.
You can't write about it then. Stop writing about Ohio when you've never been him. Okay. He was also well versed in the same field as Ohio. I'd like to go to this field.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
a very windy field by the sounds of it. I don't think we're going to go there.
I'm all right. I haven't got any
He's
hair.
going to blow your nose off.
So well versed in the same field. So they had something to talk about in the past 4 months, 3 weeks and 2 days. Marcus had marked it off day by day. Sorry, that looked like your handwriting. Marcus had marked it off dog by dog in his diary, but it doesn't. It says day by day in his diary. They were there for sixth month.
The thick month.
They were there for 6 months and had only 1 month and 8 days left. He was rather enjoying himself. He liked polar bears and thought that they were wonderful creatures to study, even if it was difficult to locate them in all the snow.
Let's start digging over here. I've got found it.
Rubbish scientist. What are you doing? I'm looking for some polar bears.
I'm digging for bears.
I can't find any because they're the same colour as the snow.
More research. Good research there.
Yeah. He was going to regret leaving all the work behind. It would be passed on to the next two scientists who would arrive in a month and 4 days. You're getting a lot of heavy emphasis on that exact time.
Ticking time bomb, innit?
Yeah.
That's how
Oh no,
drama
it has.
works.
It's gone down from 1 month and 8 days. Now it's in that paragraph, same paragraph. It's gone down.
Has it?
Yeah, you're kind of clumsily showing the passage of time. The storm that was now blowing did not bother him too much. Every job had its bad parts, he decided. The ones on this investigation happened to be weather, temperature, and living arrangements, and lack of polar bears.
Yeah, is that out?
Camouflaged koala bears. Polar bears.
Koala bears.
Camouflaged koalas.
There's even less koala bears. What's going on?
Yeah, I came to the Arctic looking for koala bears, and there aren't any other fuckers here. Apparently there's polar bears, but I can't fucking find them.
I got to see them. They're disguised. I thought if they were koala bears, I'd find them a lot easier because they're the wrong colour.
They were sharing a small wooden shack. It was well insulated, but was rather primitive. That was where they were heading right now. In fact, Marcus was pretty certain it was coming into view. It was always difficult to be totally sure about anything you saw outside. As they trudged on, it soon became clear that it was the shack. It was the shack.
It was the shack, wasn't it?
It was a rather small affair,
Wooden.
perhaps the size of two caravans stuck together.
Right.
That sounds dumb, but that's pretty good because you immediately know how big that shack is, right?
Yeah, what's the
That's
size
an
of two caravans stuck together?
effective bit of
Doesn't say
description.
what kind of caravans, though, does it?
That's true.
Big ones or small ones?
All right, it's not as good when you caravans were more standard back then, though, weren't they? I think you got regular caravans and then massive ones, and it doesn't say massive ones.
Yes.
There was a chimney placed precariously on
I thought you
top.
were going to say chimpanzee then for some reason. That was like, what?
No, there was a chimney placed precariously on top. Now this suggests to me
And
that
on
you
top of
don't
that-
know how chimneys work, because you don't balance a chimney on top of a roof. It's not decorative. It needs to go down into the over the fire or cooking or whatever.
No, you're wrong there.
It's you've got
put them on top, haven't you?
two caravans glued together with a chimney balanced on top of them.
Yeah.
But no smoke was being produced at the moment, as there was no one to keep fire going inside. Thanks for clarifying. The shack door was slightly raised, designed to prevent people from being snowed in.
What?
Slightly raised because they're in the Arctic and they might get snowed in, but it's like 6 inches above the ground, so there's no chance of that happening. Or maybe it's really high. Maybe it's like 50 feet above the ground and there's a massive ladder.
Yeah, it's positioned precariously on top of the shack, I should imagine.
On top of the chimney.
Maybe that's how they get in, like
Yeah.
Santa.
there was one insulated window, best kind of window.
And one non-insulated window.
Yeah, which,
Well, that was the worst window.
which made the other window pointless.
Polar bears kept fucking coming in, stick their heads in.
Yeah, Marcus, what the fuck is that?
I don't know, I can't see, I'm blind and deaf.
They reached the shack door. This is fascinating. This is like Tolkien. Describing
Thank you, yeah.
describing the snow, and then a page of them walking towards a shack.
Do you think this is round about where the first film ends before we start the next two?
Yeah. They reached the shack door, and Ohio opened it, leaping into the interior to escape the cold. Marcus followed him, slamming shut the door, which
How did he enter?
doesn't say followed.
Skip like a big antsy British.
Hopped, which seemed to want to do something else. Marcus followed him, slamming shut the door, which seemed to want to do something else.
He wanted to stay open because of the wind.
Let's play chess, said the door. No, said Marcus. I want you to close, not play chess. But I don't want to close, I want to play chess. No, none of that happened. Marcus quickly changed from his outdoor clothes into his indoor ones, which consisted of several pairs of socks, more padded trousers, vest, t-shirt, shirt, and a thick knitted woolen pullover. Now, this is the second film, describing clothes.
Yeah.
In too much detail.
He took off one set of clothes and put on another set of clothes.
As the pullover came over his head, he noticed Ohio had already got a fire going.
Well done.
He too began to get changed.
Nice, this is sexy.
Removing-
Two men together, they've lit a fire, they're getting undressed.
Removing his face. Removing his face goggles. Face goggles. What other kind of goggles? Yeah, then he removed his arm goggles, and then he took off his foot goggles, which most people call them shoes and gloves. But he called them, I must take off my bum goggles. Okay, so face goggles and wiping away a layer of snow from his face.
From his
A layer of snow on his face.
Yeah.
He's got a layer of snow on his face.
Yeah.
Apparently he's just been out lying on his back outside and letting the snow
It's been blowing.
Oh, hang on. He removed his face goggles and wiped away a layer of snow from his face
From his
to
head
reveal a handsome man.
He's got a tattoo of a handsome man
Yeah, on his face.
under his snow.
On his face.
I keep this tattoo under my snow.
Marcus was considerably older, perhaps at the age of 50.
Old. Okay, right.
Yeah, too old. His face was heavily wrinkled, and he had a great deal of laughter lines. Nevertheless, he still had a youthful air about him, and was in no way unfit.
So he's hot then. He's sexy, right?
Yeah, he's all right. Well, he's basically saying he's
Fucking
all right.
Sexy 50-year-old.
He's all right for 50. He's not pretty, but he's not hideous to look at. Anyway, I think you're going to find in the next sentence that he's not as attractive
Did
as
he
you
get his
thought.
cock out?
No, he wore glasses.
Oh, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh no, what a fool.
He wore glasses for reading.
For reasons, I thought you said. You wore glasses for reasons.
Yeah, for eye reasons.
For reading.
How can you describe this character? How do you know what it's like to wear glasses? You've never done that.
I've worn yours.
Yeah, that's why. But you've never borrowed
That's why
someone's
in the next
blind.
sentence he walks into a wall.
And he wore glasses for reading and wore a moustache when it suited him. I didn't change that line. That is exactly what it
That's
says.
a great line. That's a good
It
comedy
is.
line.
That is a good line. On this occasion, he had let it grow. It was black with grey bits here and there. And matched his hair. I mean, moustaches usually do, don't they? Because they're made of hair. And I know occasionally people have different colour
They have
facial
ginger
hair.
facial hair.
But it's not often. You don't need to point out that his moustache matched his hair because
but
it was his hair.
This proof he's got hair. I
Okay.
think that's what it is. Because if it didn't match his hair, that would mean he was bald.
Okay, Ohio was now garbed in practically the same attire as his friend. You got the thesaurus out for this, didn't you?
No, I use that.
Garbed in
word,
attire.
Garbed in the same attire. So what's happened is that he's kind of like got in Marcus's clothes with him.
Yeah, they're wearing
Hasn't he?
the same pullover as his friend. His hair was brown, very dark and rich.
He had ears.
His hair was rich.
Yeah.
His hair was brown, very dark and rich.
It was rich, wasn't it? Because he'd spent a lot of time on it.
His hair bought a house in London for £1 million. And it curled up at the sides. It was quite messy, with bits overlapping each other. You're describing hair. Of course bits overlap each other. That's how hair works. No, I only want 7 hairs on my head and make sure they don't overlap each other.
Listen, I don't know that. So I might be describing this for people that haven't had hair, because as we all know, if you don't have hair, you don't know how hair works.
I can look at your hair and I can see bits.
I may have never been blind. I may have never been deaf, but I have had hair, and therefore I know that bits of
bits
hair
overlap each other, yeah. But now, there was no one other than Marcus to witness this. He was not bothered. All right, so what he's saying is that's why the wind upset him so much, because he couldn't bear for any of his hairs to overlap another of his hairs. And every time the wind blows, no, overlapping is occurring.
He didn't like it when it overlapped.
Okay. Anyway, so Ohio is about to speak with a wonderfully American turn of phrase. That was a bloody waste of time, he offered as a starting point for their conversation. Would like a cup of coffee? Marcus spoke the English of a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, that famous Shakespeare line.
Yes.
Would like a cup of coffee. Exits pursued by bear.
Yeah. He said, would like a cup of coffee. Marcus spoke the English of a Shakespearean actor. He didn't. I'm going to do him.
He didn't. He missed a fucking word out as well. I mean, not only was that not Shakespearean, it was barely English.
Though Ohio's accent was not actually very strong, as he had decided to try and eradicate it. Sure, I won't pass on that offer. Marcus set about making the coffee. When is something going to happen in this story?
He's making the coffee. That's
something that's not just them walking, getting changed, and having a cup of coffee. I'm on page 4. Page 4, and so far they've had a walk, got changed, and now they're making coffee.
Yeah, but we've learned so much.
One of them's American, the other's British. That's all I know.
No, you know
Marcus
so much.
Set
Packed
about
with character stuff. Like we've got a narcissist, we've got an old person.
He's not a narcissist. He's an obsessive compulsive. He hates it when his hair overlaps.
Yeah,
and the wind causes that. Marcus set about making the coffee. He set the kettle to boil.
Oh, it's kind of impossible for your hair to not overlap unless you're like Hellraiser or something.
Yeah.
Each hair individually just sticking up,
wrapped around a pin. Yeah. He set the kettle to boil. There was not much room to move in. The shack was filled with a strange array of scientific equipment. 2 beds also took up a large amount of room. A few cupboards and a working surface held the equipment for cooking, etc. And a small table for 2 with 3 stools was placed near the door.
Wait, what?
Also,
3 stools?
Yeah, table for 2 with 3 stools.
Okay.
Placed near the door. Also, there was the fireplace, which was now a roaring blaze. Any other things? The fireplace in the shack.
A wooden shack.
Yeah, the fireplace was the shack. They sat outside the shack and warmed their hands against it. Any other things, including food stocks, was kept under the beds.
Was it?
Yeah, any other things was kept under the beds. The kettle whistled.
Oh, I hate whistling.
Yeah, Ohio gritted his teeth.
Yeah, okay.
Marcus put some...
Do you think that, because they're in a snowy country, that that when he gritted his teeth, do you think it's like when they grit things here in England?
Yeah, so that cars could drive on them. Yeah. So and that way he didn't slip over when he walked on his teeth.
Yeah.
Marcus put some coffee powder
in a mug. He poured hot water on the coffee powder. He stirred it with a spoon. He applied milk.
Put some coffee powder and whitener. Put some coffee powder and whitener into 2 cups and poured the boiling water onto each. 2 spoons? Asked Marcus. Yes, please, said Ohio in reply.
Yeah, because he likes to stir with 2 spoons as opposed to 1, because he's weird American.
Yeah. Marcus added sugar to the cups, handed 1 to Ohio and kept the other.
Marcus made the coffee.
Yeah. That's taken a whole page to make the coffee.
That's good. That means I'm definitely going to hit my word count.
Absolutely. They both sat at the table.
Mm-hmm. Which stools did they use? Did they use stool 1, 2 or 3?
I hate this place. Come on, it's not that bad. You must have known it was going to be like this. Like this, but not as bad. Not as evil.
Ooh.
Evil? In what way? Inquired an amused Marcus. This whole place reeks of the stuff. Evil. The wind, for one. Snow, another. The elements. Not the elements again. They had had this conversation quite a few times in the past, but it had been cropping up a lot more recently. You can't live here. It's like hell. Yeah, because hell's really cold. Covered in snow. Have you been to hell? No, but many people believe that hell is personal. That it's everything you really hate. Ah, I see. Do you truly hate it here totally? Or difficult to say. Do you truly hate it here totally? Yes. Game of cards? Suggested Marcus, who had decided that he'd had enough of Ohia's elemental obsession for one day. What? No, I think I'll have an early night. Really? Marcus noted that it was only 3 p.m. Suit yourself. Good night. Night! Marcus stayed up late playing clock patience.
Good for him.
And losing. I don't know who's going to like describe that next. He put down a 2. Then he put down a 4 of hearts. This wasn't helpful.
I got momentarily confused by the idea of him losing a game that only he was playing then, but then I remembered how it works, and that's fine.
If you don't cheat, it is possible. Ohia seemed to be slightly odd. Perhaps it was just homesickness, but it seemed more than that. Marcus felt that Ohia was verging on insanity, with all his talk of wind and snow. That, or Ohia, was some eccentric fool who didn't let anybody know this information until he'd been with them for a third of a year. Either way, Marcus decided it was none of his business, so he would put all such thoughts out of his mind and go to bed. Perhaps a week later... So, hang on. That scene with them walking back to the shack and having a coffee and then going to bed, that's just a prelude.
It's a description of Ohia's descent into madness.
Okay. Perhaps a week later, Ohia had said nothing of the elements recently.
Hearts of coldness.
Though he was still acting rather strangely, Marcus had noted. The wind had not been very strong recently, and this... Marcus had decided, was why Ohia was more at ease. As he sat at the shack's small table, he thought these thoughts and others. As he sat at the shack's small table, he thought these thoughts and others.
The other thoughts he thought were A.
Here they go. The next month's supply of food would be arriving soon. It was dropped by helicopter and would parachute down to land by the shack. Helicopter could land, couldn't it? I mean, it doesn't have to drop food on them.
It does for this story.
Yeah, okay. He always, in some ways, hated the arrival of new food.
Yeah, I hate that.
For not only did it mean another month had passed, but the helicopter pilot was getting worse and worse, and he swore that one day the large package would hit the shack and probably bring the roof down. Ohia was presently outside taking a few water samples from the small hole that they had made in the ice, not far from the shack, for the shack was situated near the sea, and there were many underground pools in the area they were staying. In the Arctic. I mean, the Arctic is all, it's all sea. I suppose some of it's quite thick, though.
Yeah, thick sea, yeah.
They're in the thin bit. It was supposedly Marcus's day off today, but the two of them paid little attention to the work roster. They liked to get the hard parts done when the weather was in a...
to get my hard parts done.
When the weather was in a good mood.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Sun. I'll get my hard part out.
Can you do it for me?
Make it nice and red.
Are you in a good mood?
It's a bit white at the moment. You make it nice and brown. That's right. Make my sausage sizzle.
Cook my sausage.
Yeah, cooking it. He's cacking it. He's cacking me sausage.
Okay, so that hard part's done when the weather was in a good mood. And he had already observed several polar bears today. And made notes. I saw a polar bear. I saw another polar bear. Yeah. Now
They are big and white.
Surprise! Now, that's why I couldn't find them before. Yeah. I was looking for pink stuff.
Yeah.
Now he was having the last of the coffee. Ohia entered. He carried a case with glass vials and beakers inside. He placed this with some similar cases and lay down on his bed. He said nothing to Marcus, but fell asleep. Seemed he'd have to drag the large package in himself. Well... drag it to the shack, then he'd have to remove the smaller packages from within, as the large case was too big to fit through the door. After all, it did contain food for 2 for a whole month, plus a lot of packing insulation and coal for the fire. An hour later, the helicopter had not arrived.
I want to know what happened in the hour, please.
Yeah, he sat there and played clock fucking patience. An hour later, the helicopter had not arrived. Typical, thought Marcus. He was dying for another cup of coffee, and the helicopter was late. He stood up and walked over to the shack's...
coffee dispenser.
He stood up and walked over to the shack's one small window. He saw nothing out of it and opened the door instead. He looked out into the mostly white Arctic, except for those purple bits over there, but did not see...
those red polar bears.
But did not see any helicopters. Ohio, I just went outside and counted the helicopters, as we always do, and it was 0 helicopters. Again. Shut up. You fucking asshole. Okay, do you not see any
He
helicopters?
can't see alone many things, can he? He can't see polar
He's
bears.
blind and
He is
deaf.
blind. Shit. I lied. That's the twist.
That is the
I
twist.
did do it about a blind person.
Ha ha ha. That's my research.
Yeah.
He slammed the door shut and looked over to Ohio, hoping that he had woken him so that he could have a chat. He hadn't. He wandered over to his own bed and lay down. He fetched a book from under the pillow and began to read. The helicopter whirred along at a speedy pace. It held 2 men and 3 large packing cases with a parachute attached to each. They had 3 drop-offs and they never landed to say hello, especially when they were as late as they were today. Late? What else do they have to do? I mean, after they've dropped off food packages to these people in the Arctic, what pressing engagement does this helicopter have that they're late for?
They're late based on the state of the weather because they know it's going to whip up a storm later on.
Okay,
Probably.
I'll accept that.
Yeah, good.
Neat, neat, said the pilot.
What?
We're in the helicopter
You
now.
said neat.
Neat, said the
wrong with
pilot.
him?
Bonza, said the pilot. Okay, the second man replied, as he went to the back of the copter, opened the large doors and shoved out the case. He watched it drop and its parachute open out. He closed the doors and returned to the front. Done, he said. Right, oh wow. I don't know where this pilot's from, but his first line was neat and his second one is righto.
What does neat mean?
Neat is like good, isn't it? In America, for Americans in the 50s, like, oh, that's neat. Hey, you guys, that's really neat.
Are you sure that's what he says? Yeah. Are you sure he says neat? It could be another word.
It could be next. On to the next one. Marcus heard a muffled bang. He stirred slightly, but passed it off as the wind on the door. He had fallen asleep and now wished to stay that way. Outside the shack, the packing case had landed directly outside the door, covered by its parachute. Snow was falling and beginning to cover it. Ohio awoke. He checked the time. It was 6 o'clock. He noted the food had not been brought in, and that Marcus was asleep with a book on his head. He walked over to the door and tried to open it.
Damn lousy British, not figuring out what a hat is yet.
He walked over the door and tried to open it. It wouldn't move. It was stuck. This had happened before, and Ohio knew what to do. He started ramming the door. Okay, this awoke Marcus. What are you doing? He asked drearily.
I'm ramming the door.
Door stuck. Trying to get, it open. He rammed the door again. Damn, won't budge. Let's both try, suggested Marcus. Okay. They both rammed the door until their shoulders were raw.
Because
Because
they were cooked before, weren't they?
Yeah,
Cooked
yeah.
shoulders.
And then when you ram a door, you uncook your shoulders. That's weird, isn't it?
Shoulder. I suggest that what you do in this situation, and probably is true of any situation like this, that you have doors that open inwards rather than outwards.
Yeah, good plan. You'd have thought somebody would have had the bloody sense to build a door which opened inwards.
Hey!
Yes, it is annoying, isn't it? A little bit of comedy in a story about 2 blokes dying in the Arctic.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Surviving. It's
Sorry,
called survival,
surviving,
isn't
yes.
it?
Annoying, we are going to starve to death, he said.
Turning into Croydon.
Each syllable slowly in a patronising manner.
Oh, Mr. Rimmer, sir, we're
Sorry.
going to starve to death.
Annoying, each syllable slowly in a patronising manner. Annoying. We are going to starve to death, Mr. Rimmer, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, Lois.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll get the door open, remarked Marcus, unhelpfully. We'll get it open if it's the last thing we do.
He remarkest.
That's what I'm bloody afraid of. That it will be the last thing we do. Calm down. Now, I suggest we break open the window to see what it is that's blocking the door. Yeah, good plan.
Snow?
Good plan, because, like, when you're in the Arctic, what you need is a big hole in your wall that you can't fix.
The shack's made of wood, right?
Yeah. Yes, okay, I'll do that, stuttered Ohio. And he walked over to the window. Hold on, the doors are on a different wall to the window. We'll never be able to look round the corner. What? Couldn't you climb out of the window? He shuddered, as it was very cold now that the fire had died. Right, the keyhole. Won't be able to tell much from that. I'll get the fire going.
Why the fuck have they got a fucking... It's an actual shed, isn't it? I mean, with a keyhole in it. Like, you can look through the keyhole. Yeah, to insulate your fucking
To
Arctic...
keep burglars out. To keep all those Arctic burglars out in there. Lock the door. Why? We're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Alright, so no coal. What? The package is... I don't know which character's who. The package is outside, right? And the coal's in the package. Shit. Oh, God. Please, please. I do not want to die. It's the elements. They've done it. Snow and wind. They've caused a blockage. They know I hate them. They've been listening. Marcus thumped. Marcus thumped and he stopped.
He thumped.
He just thumped. He doesn't say what he thumped. I mean,
Marcus
you can't just thump.
thumped.
Yeah, you can't just thump, can you? Because thump doesn't work without an object.
I can. I can just
What are you
thump.
doing? What are you doing? He thumped. So Marcus thumped and he stopped. He sank to the floor and
So he didn't
whimpered.
just thump, then he thumped and stopped.
No, it's Marcus thumped and Ohio stopped.
Oh.
He sank to the floor and whimpered. Marcus inspected the keyhole. I think we're missing a euphemism here.
It's a bit dirty.
Damn, nothing. He thought about the problem. Light the walls! Put a torch to the walls! Ohio screamed suddenly. Bloody hell, thought Marcus. He really had gone off his rocker now. No fire, no coal, but what about the axe? The axe in case of emergencies. Marcus began searching and Ohio began to giggle.
Searching? Well, surely an emergency axe.
There's a
would
big
be-
red box on
Yeah.
the wall. Yeah, you think so? No, they hide it. They like to play hide the axe on Sunday
Yeah,
afternoons.
it's such a big roomy shack. You're never going
Yeah.
to find it. It's probably underneath all those polar bears.
Yeah, and all that scientific equipment that was
Yeah.
never quite specified what it does.
It's a strange array, isn't it?
Yeah, so... we had to
Counts polar bears, I think. This is my polar bear counting machine.
Yeah, 12. Good. After 15 minutes, Marcus gave up. He could not find the axe. Wow, that 15 minutes
Of axe searching.
of
yeah.
axe searching in a tiny shack, and then he just goes, oh well, I'll just have to die
It
then.
must be outside.
I guess so. Stupid place to keep your emergency axe, really, isn't it?
I left it in that polar bear. What was I thinking?
After 50, yeah, so Ohio sat in a hump on the floor, giggling to himself. What is so bloody funny? Demanded Marcus, now very angry with the gibbering imbecile, as he might put it. It's outside. What is? What's outside? The axe! He screamed with laughter, and then stopped abruptly. We're going to die, aren't we? No, decided Marcus. I'm not going to die. You are, you know, said Ohio from his little huddle. He looked up. What do you think we'll die of? Do you think the cold will get us first, or the lack of food? Shut up, snapped Marcus. I think it'll be the cold. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Marcus Marcus leapt on Ohio, and they grappled.
Oh.
It's getting sexy now.
Yeah, come on.
However, they were both very weak and gave up.
Oh.
Marcus went over to his bed and lay down, trying to think his way out of this situation.
Yeah, that'll work.
Ohio, concentrate through the wall, concentrate through the wall.
I'm outside, yay!
You're not, you know. Damn you, you pulled me back in with your lack of belief. Ohio rocked on the floor, humming the German national anthem.
What?
Because he's mad, isn't he? He's
that's
doing
weird.
random stuff.
But why the German national anthem?
3 dogs passed.
What?
Days. The way you write
Three
days.
dogs
The way you write days looks like dogs.
Roll, roll, roll.
Can you help us? Row. 3 days passed. 3 days passed. Just boom, gone. Several attempts at breaking down the wall and door had failed. Marcus was at a loss. This was the first time Ohio spoken in 3 days. What? Asked Marcus. But Ohio said nothing more. You know what? He demanded the insane man.
Of the insane man.
Yeah. You know what we have to do? Just last a month and the next 2 scientists will rescue us. Ha ha! Oh no, sorry, hang on. This is Okay, so no, this is confusing because that is the same person. Ha ha! Spat Marcus sarcastically. We're going to die. I'm not going to die. I refuse to die. That's not how dying works. You don't have to agree. No, you are, you know. Ohio stood up. This took a lot of effort, as he had not moved in 3 days from his position on the floor.
What?
Flip a coin, he said. Why? To decide. Decide what? At least one of us can survive. We've got no food. We won't both make it. But if one of us had something to eat...
Hey.
What do you mean? Flip a coin. Either I eat you or you eat me.
Oh, yes, now it's getting nice.
Hello. What? Never. You are bloody sick.
Eat me, eat me.
Don't forget the coin. Yes, They ignored Mr. Fluck in the corner, begging them to eat him.
I appreciate that. I'm very tasty, especially my sausage pot.
You know I'm right, though, don't you? Deep down inside you, you know it has to be done. Why both die when one of us could survive? You just fear death. I used to, but I've changed. I realize how much I hate life. The elements. One of us must die to support the other. You know it's true. Now that suggests they don't need to flip a coin. He's saying you want to live and I want to die, so let's flip a coin to decide who lives and dies. Yes, it's true, screamed Marcus. You're right. He mumbled, let's do it.
Wow.
Ohio fetched a coin from his personal belongings.
Yeah, good one.
Heads or tails? He asked in an unconcerned manner. You choose. Okay, if you insist. I shall have meeny, miny...
Doesn't say that.
No, it does, like...
I love it.
It's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Bloody hell, you really don't care, do you? No. Go on then, choose.
That doesn't suggest any less caring than picking heads or tails, does it?
But the next two lines are brilliant. Go on then, choose. Heads. Then I shall have tails. Yeah, that is how it works. Ohio flipped the coin and caught it professionally. I suppose, strictly speaking, it being money. That you do catch any money, you pick it up professionally, don't you? You collect because you're being paid for it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Caught it professionally with his other hand, and then placed the coin on his right wrist, with the other hand still covering it. Still time to change, suggested Ohio, as he peeked at the coin. No, I should if I were you. He grinned evilly.
Yeah.
Marcus was frightened. His life was at stake here. What did this lunatic really want? His mind changed with the wind. The wind! How bloody unfunny that unintentional joke seemed to him.
Yeah, it is.
No, he said. He'd decided if Ohio really wanted to die, he would have just let him do it. Or have done it himself. Be sure. I am. Be very sure. I am. Are you sure? Just tell me what it is. Sure you're sure? Show me, you demented ape. Okay, no need to get stroppy, but only if you're sure. Look here, I'm totally sure. I have never been so sure in my life. So will you just tell me and show me what it is? I think this conversation probably has to go on for a couple more pages before we find out.
Is it going to end?
Oh no, here we go. No, there's loads to go.
What?
Oh no, there's not. Two more pages. Tails, you win. Marcus smiled triumphantly. He had been right about this American worm. He wanted to die no more than Marcus did. So Tails wins. Don't mind dying, eh? Please don't kill me. I don't want to die. I'm too young.
My hair is so cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't overlap. I've so much to offer the world. Please don't kill me! He screamed a hysterical scream, and Marcus couldn't do it. Ohio was a pitiful being. He was mad, totally insane, and he could not bring himself to do it. He couldn't kill someone. He was sure they could still get out of it. And then he had an idea. Shh! He walked over to the chimney and made a mental measurement. We can both get away. Quick, get your outdoor clothes on. We're going up the chimney. Yeah, I reckon a shack the size of two caravans would have a chimney the size of an average American person. Definitely. I mean, that would be like half the size of the caravan, I reckon.
I also think that if it did have a massive, massive chimney that you can climb out of, that would have taken me less than 3 days to think of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hold on a second. There's a big gaping hole in the ceiling.
Yes, hang on a minute. There's a second door, and it's been open all the time. That's why we're so cold. All right, so they both put on their coats and goggles. It doesn't say face goggles this time. Regular goggles and boots. Marcus walked over.
Hats, feet shoes, trouser legs, leg trousers.
Trouser legs. Yeah. I can't. But why aren't you putting your trousers on? Because I haven't put my trouser legs on yet. Okay, so they both put on the goggles. Marcus walked over to the chimney. Now, I reckon if we can get up and out, we can get the food, get back in through the door, get a fire, and get some food, and then we'll be all right in no time. He looked up at the chimney. Do you want to go first, or shall... His voice trailed off. and he slumped to the floor.
Oh.
Ohio stood behind him with a stool in his hand.
Yeah. Is that the spare stool that no one ever sits on?
Yeah, the third
That's what they need
stool.
the three for.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
The third one's a hitting stool. Why do we have this hitting stool here? I don't know.
Yeah, let's find out later on page 12.
Survival of the fittest, old boy, he said, mimicking proper Oxford English.
Oh.
It was you...
It didn't sound very good.
No, he was
What an
rubbish.
idiot he
He
is.
was rubbish at that, wasn't he? It was you or me. He giggled and hit Marcus a few more times.
Yay.
A week later, the only remains of Marcus were his clothing and a few drops of blood on the floor and stool leg. Oh, blood. Okay. It wasn't a part of Marcus. His stool leg, which he hadn't mentioned before, but he didn't have regular legs. He had two stool
What he
legs.
called his penis. Orion doesn't want to eat that bit.
Yeah, he left it. Pile of blood. A pile of blood with his penis in it.
So there's what? There's nothing left apart from some clothes and blood. Did he eat his bones?
I guess so.
Yummy skeleton.
They were about to escape.
He's going to eat his skull.
Yeah.
best part.
Ohio sat on the floor, cross-legged, rocking forwards and backwards. He giggled. What was that Marcus had been saying about the chimney? He wondered. Oh, he wasn't listening. He stood and walked over to it. He looked up and giggled. He could get out. He immediately began to climb. It was a bit of a squeeze near the top, but if Santa could do it, so could he. And he was out. So you spend 3 pages describing like making some coffee, but the actual plot, the escape from this, the climax, we're just like, oh, and he got out, no problem, everything's fine.
It's an ironic climax.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
irony that, like, you know, they can just get out of the chimney.
He jumped off the room into the snow. He was mad, insane. I think you might have mentioned that, actually. I think we know that. He had been slightly bonkers before, but human flesh, that makes you really insane.
does.
So again,
I've
now
had
you-
experience of that.
yeah,
But I've
because
eaten
you
a lot of
can't
people.
you can't write things you haven't experienced.
I've
so
eaten a lot of people.
okay, he danced around gaily.
I know a girl called Gailey. She's obviously there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, he danced around gaily.
She's-
He danced around gaily, and Lee said, "That's actually quite offensive. I don't see why my sexuality has to prefix my name all the time. Can you just call me regular Lee?" He danced around gaily. He laughed and sang. He went over to the hole in the ice.
did some chicken impersonation.
He went over to the hole in the ice. He could go for a swim, he decided.
Oh.
He removed his clothes and dived in. It was freezing. He swam about. Now, where was that hole? He's gone under the ice. He was having difficulty breathing. Again, like all that, like pages and pages of description of the shack and the empty fucking Arctic.
The impregnable shack
Yeah.
with his massive gaping chimney
The
hole.
prison that they've built, but he's just going to die in 4 lines. He was having difficulty breathing. He gasped for air, and his lungs filled with water. He swam about desperately in the eerie underwater cave. He could resist no longer as he lost consciousness and died. He would have been interested to note that the lack of air got him before the cold did. 1.5 weeks later, that's good phrasing. 1.5 weeks later, the 2 new scientists arrived ready to meet their fellow scientist friends and be briefed about the daily routine.
Yeah.
But they found not a button or feather or mark by which they could perhaps locate the 2 who went before them. All they found was a penis and some blood.
With a bite mark on it.
Yeah. No, they had just vanished. No one could find them, even when they called in a giant search party. We brought these giants to look around to see if they can find the American and the British
Yeah,
one.
and they brought in a giant search party, and they were looking for a giant, but they couldn't find any giants. But they hadn't lost any giants, so it was just a
So this was
waste of
unsurprising.
We should have sent in a regular person search party.
People named the place the Arctic Triangle, and people were very wary of going anywhere near the place. They said it reeked of evil. And we end with a poem. One day, the brave adventurer will be no more, for you'll just vanish away like midnight smoke, so that no signs or memories remain. You'll just vanish
Such a what?
away like midnight smoke and never be seen again.
There's not an epilogue then.
Huh?
There's no epilogue then.
There's an evaluation. The second expressive arts module came to an end. Had I improved on last time? No.
We're open about the fact that I'm crap and don't try very hard.
To begin with, we got into the same group of 4 as Module 1. Group of 4 in Expressive Arts. I wonder who that was. You're gonna bitch about us, do you think? That'd be exciting. That'd be fun. Rufus was the worst one. He is an idiot and does all the rubbish work. Everything good we've ever done was by me. Okay. Had I improved on last time? No. To begin with, we got into the same group of 4 as Module 1, but then we were told what we were doing. Anything related to survival in groups of 2 or on our own. We split the 4 into a 2. Oh, there's my name. We split the 4 into a 2. I went with Alf Grime. For the first few lesson, we couldn't initially decide on what to do. I wanted to do one thing, and Alf wanted to do another.
Right.
So we decided to work in ones, but help each other out. So I supplied Alf with some newspaper clippings for his work, and he made suggestions as to what I should include in my story that I intended to write. However, the finished piece
Because
was...
they didn't have newspapers where he came from.
Yeah. However, the finished piece was mainly my idea. I think that's anything to be proud of. Alf had helped me by providing factual information about the Arctic, and Rufus helped suggest an ending.
So it's your fault.
An end? Well, what do you think I suggested? The chimney or the eating each other?
Maybe it's that. Maybe. I mean, maybe.
How could you
maybe
not think of this yourself?
Maybe I was writing a story about
2 blokes in a
drinking
shack
coffee
where nothing happened. I went, look,
Yeah.
something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Have them eat each other. Maybe I suggested the swimming under the ice rubbish.
Yeah.
That weird bit at the end where he just goes, I'll go for a swim and die.
Yeah, maybe.
And so I weaved that into the story and produced the story in question. From the very start, I had wanted the work I did to be connected with the Arctic in some way, and a scientific investigation proved to be the best bet. I also had this idea about someone eating someone else fixed into my head, and so I had created the basic storyline, so that wasn't my idea. It must have been the swimming.
Good, well done. Or climbing out of a chimney.
Yeah, maybe.
Thanks for that.
That's all right, anytime.
Thanks for making an actual literal plot hole in my story by providing a massive hole in my ceiling.
Hey, we don't know. The hole that I provided might have been the hole in the ice. We know I provided a hole, but we don't know
we
which
don't know
one.
which one.
Unfortunately, basic was what it stayed for a long time, and I wish that so much time had not been wasted
Bombing.
at the beginning, and that this module was a little longer. I would have liked more time to write a whole script instead of just a sample. And I would have liked to have spent more time developing the story. Yeah, instead of just writing about coffee. I am quite pleased with what I have produced, but I am not very good at researching, though I did spend time finding a suitable title and ending. Excerpt. All right, I was going to say, because I did the ending.
That's research.
I did spend some time asking Rufus what the ending should be.
I'm not very good at research, but I did spend a lot of time coming up with a title that I stole from somewhere else.
Yeah, I did spend a lot of time listening to a musical, which I then nicked bits from. Also, I had to be sure about polar bears in the Arctic and water under the ice. I had to be sure about polar. I suppose you mean if they are in the Arctic, like you had to check.
Yeah.
So you asked someone, "Are there polar bears in the Arctic?" Yeah. Is there water?
That's
under?
the research that Alf Crime provided. I
Yeah.
said to him, "Are
Is
there
the-
polar bears?"
And he said, "Yeah." I am not sure whether I have been more successful working in a group or on my own, but I certainly enjoyed the first module more.
Good. Well, I would say, what I failed to realise or mention in my evaluation about what it is I've done here is that I singularly failed to write a story about survival.
Because everyone
Dies.
Yeah.
I had one thing I had to do.
One word,
Yeah.
and you didn't do it.
But maybe the survival isn't their survival.
Whose is it?
Well, I don't know, some penguins or something.
Polar bears.
So the polar bear.
Yeah, the ones that Marcus couldn't find.
Exactly,
'Cause
yeah.
therefore he couldn't kill them and they survived.
Yeah, so that's what they were there to do. That's what the array of scientific equipment was guns.
Well, you actually said you chose Arctic survival,
Yeah.
not human survival. And the Arctic did not die in
didn't,
that story. Now, you said at the beginning, right,
Oh, yeah.
that it was called Midnight Smoke or Dismemberment.
Tragedy in 3 parts.
What have either of those titles got to do with what happened? I mean, dismemberment.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, because obviously Ohio dismembers Marcus Peabody.
Right, you reckon he eats him
end.
like a one arm at a time
Yeah.
kind of thing, and
Yeah,
then he's
yeah.
just lying there, and then on Tuesday he's like, I'll have a leg. And then next day he has a head for dinner.
It
What about
it says it's tragedy in 3 parts. I think it's supposed to be a joke.
Midnight Smoke? Why is it called Midnight Smoke?
Because you might vanish away like Midnight Smoke, just like in that famous poem
Yeah.
by Lewis Carroll.
And who vanished away? One of them vanished away into the other one's stomach. Right?
This is from the POV of that massive giant that turned up at the end.
okay.
And I was like, I can't find him.
They vanished like Midnight Smoke.
Yeah.
Also, you remember in your research, right?
Yeah, my of course.
Your amazing research where you included pictures of all the things that you didn't do, right? But no pictures or any research of the thing that you did.
Yeah.
That was weird, right? You're like, here's a picture of some starving people in other countries. I'm not doing that. Here's a picture of a blind bloke.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I think I'll do Arctic survival. Here's my no research that I've done. You really didn't understand what research meant, did you? It's not the ideas I didn't
Hey,
do.
I understood perfectly what research meant, but I just didn't do any research. What I did was, like, the day before, I'm guessing, go like, shit, I haven't done any research. What pictures can I get out of the paper?
What's in the paper?
Weren't any photographs of a polar bear?
Yeah.
Was a photograph of a blind person.
Yeah, so you said these are the ideas I didn't choose because they're not my favourite type of survival. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so another thing you said at the beginning was that you did not want to do animal survival because you're not about to write Watership Down 2.
Well, I proved that, didn't I? I didn't write Watership Down 2.
not a single rabbit.
That would have been brilliant if I had.
Well, I was wondering, what would Watership Down 2 be about? If you were going to write Watership Down 2, what would happen? 2 rabbits in the Arctic can't get out of a shed. One of them eats the other. The end.
Yeah.
All right, so do you want a quick synopsis of the story then?
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, what it was about. So it starts out, you've got 2 men wearing padded trousers and face goggles, right? Walking through the Arctic in their padded trousers and face goggles.
Yeah.
One
It's
of them.
cold. There's nothing stupid about any of that.
No, I never said it was. I'm just describing what happened. If you
They've
feel
got other clothes on as well. They're not just wearing padded trousers and face goggles.
No, I don't remember that being mentioned. Basically, they've got padded trousers and
Walking
face
with their
goggles on.
boobs out.
They go into their shack and change their outdoor padded trousers to their indoor padded trousers and take off their face goggles.
Yeah.
And that's it. One of them's American and one of them's British.
Yeah.
And they have wonderfully...
It's almost like I wrote it knowing that in like 20 years' time you would read it.
Yeah, and it needed to be 2 accents I could just about manage. All right, so you've got these 2 characters, and one's American and one's British, and consequently they have very, very appropriate names, because the American is called Ohio Grant. A wonderfully American name.
It is, isn't it?
Almost like, my name is Mississippi.
Yeah.
This is my friend Philadelphia. Yeah. And a British guy called Marcus Peabody. You've really gone for the names that
You've succeeded.
you kind of gone Dickensian in your naming. You've tried to make the sound of the names conjure up something about the characters. So that's good. All right.
It is good, isn't it?
It's a good start, yeah. An American who says bloody all the time. He's always bloody things. And hates the wind and overlapping hair. This is his what drives his character.
Yeah.
He really hates wind and overlapping hair. So he goes to the Arctic to escape wind.
Yeah.
And is really upset to find that there's loads of wind there. He's like, oh, bloody hell, he says.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, darn it. This place is full of wind. So he gets very upset and keeps going on about the elements.
Yeah, he does
right?
do
And
that.
he hates the elements. And when he says elements, what he means is snow and wind.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Yeah.
Right, so Ohio is there, annoyed about wind, and he's with his friend, he's with the other scientist, Marcus Peabody, an English bloke who can't find polar bears. And has a moustache that matches his hair. Right? Those are his 2 characteristics. He can't find polar bears, and his hair's all the same colour.
Yeah. And he only wears that when it suits him, though, doesn't he?
Yeah. When he's in the mood, he grows a moustache.
I didn't take it to mean suits him like that. I thought it meant when it actually suited him, like
When it looks good.
yeah.
Some days he just doesn't look good with a moustache, so he shaves
Takes
it
it
off,
off.
and then the next day he grows it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, these two blokes are in the Arctic in a what you describe as a well-insulated shack, but rather primitive. That's your description. A well-insulated shack, but rather primitive.
Yeah.
And also, apparently it's wooden. It's made of wood in the Arctic, but well-insulated.
It's not
Whatever that means.
It's definitely not well insulated because it's got a chimney in it.
Yeah, it's got a big open chimney, but you said it's well insulated. Then I think maybe when you started it, you hadn't decided on the chimney, because you said like apparently maybe I gave you that idea, or that maybe that came later. So maybe those first 3 or 4 pages where you're just describing snow, wind, and hair, and coffee, you haven't decided on.
Well, you think
the end
your
yet.
idea was that they should climb out of a chimney that an Arctic shack definitely wouldn't have.
Yeah, I don't know. We decided one of the two.
Quickly gone to Alf Crime and said, Alf Crime.
Rufus has got a really dumb idea.
Do they have chimneys in the Arctic?
Right, so they're in a well-insulated shack, but rather primitive, that's as difficult to escape as a prison. Right?
It doesn't say that.
No, but that's proved later on.
Oh, right.
Because they get trapped in there. No matter what they do, they can't escape.
They can,
It's
there's a hole
made
in
of
the roof.
wood. Yeah, but they can't. I mean, apart from that,
Yeah.
it is impenetrable. This wooden shack, this primitive wooden shack.
Doesn't say it's
Without
doesn't
an
say-
axe, you can't do anything to
Doesn't
it.
say it's like really, really thin wood.
No, apparently it's got to be at 6 inches thick, I reckon.
Yeah, it's probably like actual whole tree trunks as
Yeah.
the wall.
Still alive. Really, you're going to need an axe
Yeah.
and a lot of work.
That would be primitive.
All right, so
I
they're
think
in.
someone grew that shed.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone somehow grew a shed in the Arctic on the snow. Yeah.
Someone, against all odds, somebody planted some saplings and they
Yeah,
grew
they
it into
grew
a
it.
shed. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay,
So they're in their impenetrable shack.
Yeah.
Inescapable shack.
they're in a shed made of trees.
They're in a shed. They're in a
Tree shed.
A natural shed.
Shed,
A
yeah,
naturally
natural
occurring shed.
Yeah, they're in their naturally occurring shed.
Yeah, and a hire goes to bed at 3 p.m. because his hair's overlapping and he can't deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And leaves Marcus to play clock patience for 9 hours. So the next day they get up, and every day they like to get their hard parts done when the weather's in a good mood. So they do that first. They're like, oh, we'll get our hard parts done while the weather's in a good mood.
Yeah.
And then they count the helicopters. Every day, one of them has to count the helicopters, come in and go, it's 0 today, I'm afraid. 0 helicopters. But, unfortunately, later, while they're both asleep, the helicopter comes, and in a feat of terrible luck, of all the space in the Arctic that you could drop a massive box that's just big enough to jam a door closed, they drop it right in front of the door.
That's what happens,
It's tragic. It's really unlucky. And so it locks them in. It completely blocks them into their naturally occurring shed. And when they realise this, they decide to both ram the door until they're raw. That's the terminology that you use. I think a hire starts ramming it first, and then Marcus joins in. They ram it together until they're completely raw. And then they realise that tragically they've left their emergency axe outside. The best place to keep your emergency axe is outside in the snow. Because when I was using it to axe some snow, I know I left it outside yesterday when I was axing that snow.
Yeah. Where is it? Why is a hire turned into the space wizard?
All right, so they realise the axe is outside, and Ohio goes immediately insane. That's his response. He just goes mad.
He's
instantly.
already insane. He's insane from the very outset.
He's not. He's just annoyed about the wind, and then he goes mental.
No, he had a problem with the wind and moved to a windy place. He was mental before he got
He was
there.
stupid.
He's insane before he even gets to the Arctic. I think that's really clear.
All right, so
Very
he
clear.
goes insane, and Marcus tries to
He's
escape.
the guy that ordered 3 stools.
You think it's him?
Yeah, and Marcus Peabody was like, "What? Why do you need the third stool?"
That's my hitting stool.
That's for my friend.
So Ohio sits on the floor and giggles for like 3 days.
Okay, he sits on the floor even though there's 3 stools to choose from.
Yeah, so that's
Again.
madness.
That is
You see,
insane.
he doesn't even think of those 3 stools.
I say I'm really heightening his madness with that third stool, aren't I?
Not only does
Not only-
he not choose the first 2,
Yeah.
but he doesn't even go for that third tempting stool. What a madman!
Yeah, that's got mad stool written on it.
So he sits on the floor for 3 days laughing.
Yeah.
While Marcus tries to get out, but no matter what he does, he can't escape this wooden shack.
Yeah.
Right, because it's made out of trees.
Yeah.
So after 3 days of trying, they decide to eat each other. But then they go, oh no, we can't eat each other. That's a physical impossibility. We better flip a coin and see who eats who, right? And Marcus wins. So Marcus is going to eat Ohia.
Yeah.
And Ohia turns out to not be as mad as we thought all along, because actually he doesn't want to die.
No, he want to die.
But then, fortunately, Marcus notices the massive hole in the ceiling, the massive man-sized chimney, and goes, oh, wait a minute, look, we can get out of the chimney.
Yeah.
But before he can say that sentence again and make Ohia actually listen to him this time, Ohia beans him to death with a chair. He's like, he finally notices that third stool, and he's like, wait a minute, I've got a plan. And he smashes him to death with a stool, right? So Ohia then eats Marcus's skeleton.
Yeah.
He just eats his skeleton. Everything except his blood, right? all his skin and bones and eyes
And raw.
Think-
We know they're raw because they've rammed the door till they became raw, but there's no coal, so he can't cook him.
So he can't unraw him. Yeah. So he eats his raw skeleton. And then escapes through the chimney. He goes, oh look, and escapes through the chimney in half a line. It takes him like 4 words.
He eats the whole of Marcus, then he goes, oh, there's an hole in the ceiling.
And then he gets out, But he's more mad because he's just because as we all know, eating a skeleton makes you mad, right? So he's completely, utterly insane with this skeleton-powered madness. Right? So he goes, I know what I'll do. I'll go for a nudie swim. Right. Oh look, there's a hole in the ice that I made with the axe earlier. I'll go for a quick nudie swim and die. Right? And again, in 2 words, it's like, so he went for a nudie swim and died. The end.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Worst Writer in the World. We'll be back next week with part 1 of a brand new story, The Mystery of the Golden Bus. And who knows, maybe Marcus will be resurrected. Worst writer in the world! Worst writer in